right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube, Pastor Dowell, one of the benefits of actually being off the municipal water supply is that we don't have all these drugs in our water. We don't have all these chemicals. We don't have all these pesticides. We don't have all these, especially the chemicals that they put inside of the water that, they treat it. Let me give you, on the land, we have multiple wells. Pretty much our primary water source is well water. And we live adjacent to, or I'm gonna say pretty much the whole southern part of the land, no, western part of the land, excuse me, is it's ran by a spring-fed creek that never runs dry. I mean, I've been out there, going on 27 years now, and it's never ran dry. And of course, the water source out there, you gotta have water, because we go through an extraordinary amount of water. And when you have access to a water source like that, man, you can water your gardens, you can water your greenhouses, you can water your plants. If you choose to, want to water your yard, you can do all that. You can use that water to water the cattle, the cattle troughs, the goat troughs, all this stuff, man. Water is just such a necessary resource. So before you go out there and consider land and buying land, make sure you have a reliable water source. And if you get a well, that well needs to be upwards of 15 to 30 gallons a minute. It needs to be. Because the amount of water that you go through on a land, if you're going to have a community, it is a lot. And the beauty about that is that we don't have to pay a water bill. Can you imagine? I can only imagine. I bet our water bill would be upwards of $2,500 a month if I had to pay a water bill for the amount of water that we use out there on that land. So when you're looking for land, especially detached from civilization, kind of like you see this backdrop that I'm going through right now in these mountains. I'm actually heading home, and this is one of the paths and directions to home, the community of Straitway. I can guarantee you that nobody out here is on the city water supply. One reason is because it's well past the city limits, and they don't have what you call water running with water meters. You won't see no water meters out here. That's fine, none whatsoever at all. But if you do look around, if you know what you're looking for, you can tell that the people, they're on a well, they have a spigot that comes from a well, and you can, if you look around close enough, if you know what you're looking at, you can tell that they're on a septic system. Now, a septic system is a place of being able to dispose of waste. The urine, the things that are not solid, they leach out and they perk through the ground. But the solids, they go into a 1,000 or 1,500, sometimes 2,000 gallon tank, and then over a period of years, those solids, they build up. Unless you keep some, I know this sounds like an oxymoron, unless you keep some good bacteria in it, which will help dissolve of those solids. And then you could probably get that septic system pumped maybe once every 6-7 years if it's just a family. But like out here at the community, when we hold feast days and stuff like that, and people use municipal water supply, and a lot of people using restrooms, ours are usually average getting our tanks pumped every 3 years. And sometimes depending on which one it is, it's usually a little bit more than that. But if you go out and look for land, make sure that you look for land that already has a reliable water source on it, i.e. a well. Because if you go out here nowadays and try to get a well dug, and there's no guarantee that you're going to hit water, man, you're looking at minimum $10,000 to upwards to $18,000 to $20,000 to get a well dug. I mean, I've got one well we didn't miss. We got water, but it's not what we wanted. And that thing is like almost 300 feet down. And I still, that I can remember and stuff, we're not getting them but maybe 2-3 gallons a minute. We can't use that well for too much of nothing unless I can come up with a creative way to think of something, to put a reservoir, to kind of like on the toilet once it gets filled up to a certain area. Then the flotation device cuts off the flow of water once the tank gets filled. We can do that, and then as it goes down, then it can fills up, and then that way you can still have so much of a water source. I'm probably going to do that in that area. But there's so many things you can do, especially and also when you're looking for land, look for land that is unrestricted, meaning you're not going to be covered up by all these building regulations and everything else. You want to get somewhere you're free to do what you want to do. That's what you want to do, but preferably out. And this is where real true freedom and liberty. Now, it's taken me a long time to figure this out, and I literally have all the land in Straitway, Tennessee, every single bit of it. All the land is tax exempt without a 501c3, without using government paperwork and all that other stuff. I did have to go through an extensive process in order to get that. And they know, the system knows that you can do it, but they're not going to volunteer that information. This information I'm not sharing with the general public. You've got a pastor out there, they know everything. Let them do like I did. Let them be led by the Holy Spirit and let them go research for themselves. I'm working on maybe 2 or 3 buildings now that I'm fighting for because it's its own assembly property, church property. And of course, federal law trumps state law, and that's one of the arguments that I have to continually keep arguing with these people. But we'll get there. It just takes a little time, and that's all there is to it. It just takes a little time. But that is my advice after all these many years and all this tenure of doing this. You need a good, reliable water source. And plus, you need to know, you need to immerse yourself in being proactive, in learning how to put pumps, systems together and stuff. I cannot tell you how many times we pulled an old well pump out of a well and stuff because it wasn't sufficient to our needs, or it went bad because we were stressing so much and we had to upgrade the pump. And I remember one time, man, we got so far, it was so heavy, we had to actually use a truck or a tractor or something to either bring up or lower, because once you get past 200 feet, man, that thing is, the poundage and the tonnage of it starts getting really, really heavy. But that's wisdom. If you buy land and there's no water on it, know that you're taking a great chance. Water is a great source of life on your community or homestead, and keep that in mind, and do not ever let that slip. King coming.